Who hosted BRICS Summit 2022? Who is the president of Brazil? What was the theme of BRICS Summit 2022? More such questions will be answered in this video, so stay tuned. Hi, in today's video, I will talk about the recent BRICS Summit which was hosted by China in a virtual mode on 23rd and 24th June and try to highlight the points iterated by the leaders and excellencies. This video will focus on the events of the recent summit, followed by a detailed trivia about the BRICS organization. I will primarily be focusing on the current affairs part of the summit, the kind of questions you can be expecting in your upcoming exams, and more importantly, the key news topics you can keep a track of. So stay tuned. Prime Minister Narendra Modi commenced his speech by congratulating all the BRICS members for the events held at the respective nations on the International Day of Yoga, which was observed on June 21st. He thanked for the kind of support provided by the teams of all the BRICS members. For 3 years in a row, the BRICS members are meeting in a virtual mode amid the COVID pandemic crisis. Although at an international level, the impact of COVID pandemic has reduced, but many of its negatives impacts are visible in the global economy. Stressing over the topic of governance of the global economy, he mentioned that the view of all the BRICS members have been in tandem, and that this is why the cooperation among the BRICS members can positively contribute in the post-COVID recovery. There have been quite a number of organizational improvements rather, in the past couple of years, because of which the influence of this organization has been enhanced. This comes as a delight that the New Development Bank, NDB, has experienced a boost. Prime Minister Narendra Modi then focused on people-to-people contact and said there are many sectors which are being benefited because of the cooperation among the BRICS members, like the establishment of vaccine R&D centers, cooperation between the Custom Department, administration of Shah Jahan satellite consultation, regularization of pharmaceutical sectors. These kind of practical steps make BRICS a unique organization, a unique international organization which doesn't limit itself to mere talks. BRICS Youth Summit and other civil society organizations has strengthened the people-to-people contact. Chinese President Xi Jinping on 24th June announced an additional $1 billion to the $3 billion already committed by China to the Global Development and South-South Cooperation Fund, as he held a high-level dialogue on global development in virtual format a day after hosting the 14th BRICS Summit. China will allocate more resources for global development cooperation. China will increase input to the UN Peace and Development Trust funds, adding that such efforts will further support cooperation under the Global Development Initiation, GDI, initiated by him earlier. He then attacked the US for sanctions against Russia in the ongoing Ukraine war and forming new alliances to contain China. His criticism against US-EU sanctions was the dominant theme of his speech at BRICS Business Forum on Wednesday and the 14th BRICS Summit on Thursday. He urged for the pursuance of development in real earnest and build an open world economy and shape a global governance system, an international environment that are more just and equitable. He called for jointly fostering global development partnership, Developed countries should fulfill their obligations, developing countries should deepen cooperation, and the South and North should meet each other halfway. The COVID pandemic has eroded the gains of global development over the past many years, and the implementation of UN's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development has been confronted with headwinds, he mentioned. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro called for a reform of world's system. He called for more representation of the developing economies in organizations like BRICS. Russian President Vladimir Putin lauded the cooperation of BRICS economies amid the crisis. He talks about the global economy, which he pointed out was suffering because of the selfish attitude of some nations. Russian president said international communities today face complex issues. He pushes for stronger ties with BRICS nation and said that BRICS can come up as a positive and uniting force. Now, before I move on to the trivia of BRICS, I would like to focus on the various topics which have been mentioned here, as I will be discussing the various points about the summit from a perspective of current affairs. So what kind of current affairs can you expect from this section? Now, I'll be giving you a mix of questions, subjective questions and objective questions. First and foremost, International Day of Yoga. Its date, its significance, its theme, anything can be asked from here. News around COVID pandemic crisis has been in news as well as in questions in various exams for the past couple of years now. A subjective question can be framed from this section which says governance of global economy, which Prime Minister Narendra Modi had focused in his speech. So this becomes an important topic for questions, subjective questions particularly. Then another subjective question can be around organizational changes which has been observed over the years in such international forums and organizations. Objective or subjective question can be framed around New Development Bank, its contributions, various projects around the world which have been funded by New Development Bank. Another subjective question can be people-to-people contact. Objective questions can be framed around vaccines and R&Ds, which was mentioned in Prime Minister's speech. A direct question can come from Shah Jahan satellite consultation. Then from the speech of Chinese President, subjective questions like South-South Cooperation Fund or objective questions, both type of questions can be framed. Then UN Peace and Development Trust Fund, Global Development Initiatives. These are particular key terms which I am mentioning over years and questions can be framed around it. What I will be doing in my subsequent videos, that I will be discussing each of these topics in great detail. And I'll be mentioning the links in the description, so don't forget to check that out. Then Ukraine war has been a hot topic for the past couple of months. UN's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In Chinese President Xi Jinping's speech, we get to see that he mentions that the implementation of UN's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development has been confronted with headwinds. So UN's 2030 Agenda, what is it, when was it constituted, and questions around it can be framed. A direct question can come in exams like SSC, that who's the president of Brazil. So such kind of questions can be expected in exams from this summit. Now let's deep dive into the trivia around BRICS. So BRICS is an acronym coined to associate 5 major emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. BRICS members are known for their significant influence on world affairs. The bloc was formed in 2009. However, in 2010, South Africa began efforts to join BRIC organization. And the process for its formal admission began in the August of that year. So South Africa officially became a member nation on 24th December 2010. The term BRIC is believed to have been coined in 2001 by the then chairman of Goldman Sachs Asset Management, Jim O'Neill, in his publication Building Better Global Economic BRICS. But it was actually coined by Rupa Purushothaman, who was a research assistant in the original report. The foreign minister of the initial four BRIC general state met in New York in September of 2006 at the margins of general debate of the UN Assembly, beginning a series of high-level meetings. A full-scale diplomatic meeting was held in Russia on 16th June 2009. The BRICS headquarters is in Shanghai, People's Republic of China. Also, I'm mentioning the names of the presidents and prime ministers on the screen for your reference, because these are direct questions which are asked in exams, so please go through them. BRICS grouping has become a platform to discuss and deliberate on issues of common concerns for all the developing countries. During the meeting, the head of the states discussed intra-BRICS cooperation in areas like trade, counterterrorism, traditional medicine, health, environment, reforms of multilateral institutions, and combating COVID-19 pandemic. What was the theme of this year's BRICS summit? The theme of BRICS Summit 2022 was Foster High Quality BRICS Partnership, Usher in a New Era of Global Development. So that's it for today, and I hope you have gathered as much of information from this video. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon for the notifications. All the best.